Welcome back to Political Pulse. I'm Gary Valdivieso.
And I'm Isabella Rocha. Let's get right into it.
The Federal Aviation Administration has begun cutting hundreds of flights due to the current longest government shutdown in U.S. history.
Okay, I don't wish this was the circumstance in which I was dealing with. So I imagine as we see the data change and more controllers come to work, we are as quickly as possible going to take these restrictions away.
Massport confirmed yesterday that Logan International Airport made the FAA's list of 40 airports to expect flight cuts. Starting next week, high-traffic airports will be getting flight cuts by 10%, totaling up to 40,000 flights a day. Other major flights joining Boston on the list of cuts are Chicago's O'Hare Airport, the Denver International Airport, and Los Angeles International Airport.
President Donald Trump is meeting with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban today in the White House. Trump has been insisting that European nations stop buying Russian oil to slow down funding for its invasion of Ukraine. However, Orban claims that there are no alternatives to Russian oil for Hungary and that replacing those supplies would trigger an economic collapse. The two leaders entered a meeting having a friendly diplomatic relation with each other.
Regulations from the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission are meeting Friday to consider a landmark proposal, allowing consumers to purchase cannabis and immediately use it in the same location. Under the plan, 3 types of social consumption licenses could be issued: supplemental for existing dispensaries, hospitality for non-cannabis businesses, and event organizer for temporary sites. While changes remain possible ahead of Friday's vote, the move would make Massachusetts a key state in expanding public cannabis use.
Brockton, Massachusetts elected its first mayor of color in office, Moses Rodriguez, on Tuesday. He beat his rival, John Bradley Davenport, by 260 votes. Rodriguez is one of the few people of color to lead a Massachusetts city. Residents hope that the election of the new mayor will pave a path for greater diversity in Brockton's leadership.
2 people were injured in Sunday morning in a shooting in the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston. Responding to the distress, the Boston Police Department found the 2 victims suffering non-life-threatening gunshot wounds near the 25th Warren Street area. One of the victims, 56-year-old Pernell Brown, was later charged in connection with the shooting. No additional arrests have been announced as the investigation is ongoing.
Quincy Mayor Thomas Cook took more than $10,800 in illegal donations toward his campaign. The public is expressing additional concern over his potential 79% annual salary increase. The Office of Campaign and Political Finance fined Cook $55,000 in order to resolve multiple campaign finance violations.
After this break, we talk national news and hear from our business correspondent.
Stick with us.
Welcome back to Political Pulse. Massachusetts voters marked a historic election day as several cities elected new mayors, signaling a wave of change at City Hall. In Everett, Councilor Robert Van Campton unseated longtime incumbent Carlo De Maria. In Brockton, Councilor Moses Rodriguez was elected mayor. And in Somerville, Councilor Jake Wilson vowed an open-door policy at City Hall, pledging immediate action on homelessness. Across the state, 34 mayors were elected, reflecting the voter demand for accountability and fresh leadership.
Zohran Mamdani has officially become the 111th New York City mayor. 34-year-old Mamdani took the victory against former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican candidate Curtis Sliwa. When Mamdani officially takes office on January 1st, he will become the most powerful Muslim elected official in the United States. For more on business news, we go to our business correspondent, Emily Champagne.
Thank you, Bella. President Donald Trump has announced that he will withhold SNAP benefits until the end of the government shutdown. The president said in a Truth Social post that these benefits will only be given when Democrats open up the government, a decision he argues can be easily done. At the same time as the announcement, federal judges in Massachusetts and Rhode Island called on the Trump administration to fund the program. In the meantime, the United States Department of Agriculture has authorized states to begin dispersing benefits to eligible households. This money pulled from the government emergency funds would cover 50% of current food stamp allotments. After another World Series victory for the Los Angeles Dodgers, a salary cap is looming over Major League Baseball. The Dodgers' current payroll stands at $350 million, roughly double the league's average. It is speculated by fans that the Dodgers played so well against the Toronto Blue Jays in the World Series because they spent around $100 million more on batters and pitchers. While many believe creating a salary cap might be the solution towards making the league more fair, some argue that the sport of baseball relies more on luck than it does money. Disney's battle with YouTube TV is not going as expected, sparking frustration with many sports fans. According to Disney, they argue that YouTube TV is not willing to pay market rates. Disney then created a blackout which prohibited YouTube TV users from accessing some of their channels, including ESPN. As a result, many YouTube TV subscribers could not watch ESPN's coverage of both Monday Night Football and college football last Saturday. Disney is in a tough spot. As with live sports rights on the rise, the company needs to collect enough money to justify its interest in covering live sports. However, its blackout plan may have fans turning to illegal pirating sites instead. If not fixed soon, the decision could cost the company millions of streaming subscribers. That's all the news I have today. Back to you both at the desk.
Ghazala Hashmi has been elected Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, making her the first Muslim woman in U.S. history to win a statewide office. Virginia made history again by electing its first female governor, Abigail Spanberger.
Leadership that will focus on problem solving, not stoking division. We chose leadership that will always put Virginia first.
Hashmi, a state senator and former college professor, defeated Republican John Reed and will now step into a role that positions her first in line of succession to the governor.
President Donald Trump threatened legal action over California's mail-in ballot system for its redistricting measures.
It is about who we are as a state and, of course, as a nation. The fact that the president knew that he was going to lose the House and he then went to Texas to pick up more seats, it behooved us to then counter that. So people say, oh, well, I don't like either of that. And I said, well, we have to defend democracy.
He described the system as rigged and a giant scam. Back in August, Trump threatened to sign an executive order that would eliminate mail-in voting. He also said that Colorado's mail-in voting system is corrupt because it leads to dishonest elections.
Coming up, we talk international news.
Stick with us. Thanks for sticking with us.
Russian forces are closing in on what could become their largest city capture in Ukraine since 2023, focusing their offensive on Pokrovsk in the Donetsk region.
The enemy has not been successful in Pokrovsk. In recent days, 26 to 30% of all combat operations on the front line have taken place in Pokrovsk. Moreover, 50% of all guided bombs are being used in Pokrovsk. So you understand how difficult it is for our people.
The city, once home to around 60,000 people, has been reduced to just over 1,000 residents as the fighting rages. Moscow troops appear to control the city's southwestern edge and key routes into the center, raising fears of a major Ukrainian territorial loss.
On Monday, Peru officially broke its diplomatic relations with Mexico. The decision comes after Mexican authorities granted asylum to former Peruvian Prime Minister Betsy Chavez. Chavez is currently being charged in Peru for being a co-author of a coup d'etat attempt in 2022.
We now have our international correspondent, Kelly Egan.
President Trump's new goal is to do shipbuilding in the way that South Korea is doing. During his Asia tour, Trump expressed to South Korean executives that he would like the United States to have a, quote, thriving shipbuilding industry. South Korea issued an estimated $150 billion to the United States for the building of ships. This deal was confirmed during Trump's visit to South Korea last week. A massacre in Sudan this week resulted in tens of thousands killed. Paramilitary fighters from the Rapid Support Forces took over the city of Al-Fashir and shot anyone who tried to leave the city. Recent satellite images show that the sand within the city has been stained red due to the number of victims killed by the forces. Violence has been occurring in Sudan since April of 2023, when war first broke out between the two leaders within the Sudanese military. Since the massacre, several soldiers have been arrested for human rights violations. President Trump is considering sending U.S. troops to Nigeria. Trump posted on social media Saturday saying that he has ordered the Defense Department to prepare for possible military action in Nigeria. His post read that the U.S., quote, may very well go into that now disgraced country guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists. Trump has previously accused Nigeria of not doing enough to prosecute those who attacked Christians in the country earlier this year. That's all I have for international news. Back to
The United Nations Security Council voted Thursday to remove sanctions on Ahmed al-Sarraj, the president of Syria, and Interior Minister Anas Khattab, approving a U.S. draft resolution with 14 votes in favor.
Now is Syria's chance at greatness. The delisting of President al-Sarraj and Interior Minister Khattab should help give the Syrian people that greatest chance.
The delisting lifts an arms embargo, asset freeze, and travel bans tied to their prior inclusion on the al-Qaeda sanctions list. Syrian officials welcomed the move as a sign of international confidence, while China expressed concern that it did not fully address counterterrorism risks.
President of Brazil Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva announced his goal for the nation to become a leader in climate change damage restoration. Just weeks before this month's United Nations COP50 Climate Summit in the Amazon, Lula has defended the decision to drill for oil near the Amazon River. He argues that it will help Brazil finance its transition to cleaner forms of energy. Climate advocates express concerns over the announcement. The COP50 is officially opening this Monday with nearly 200 countries present. This year's winner of the West Coast Giant Pumpkin Regatta goes to Gary Christensen. Christensen broke the Guinness World Record for the longest journey by pumpkin boat, where he traveled 58 miles. Since 2004, this one-of-a-kind regatta has been drawing large crowds that cheer for participants racing on large, carved pumpkins in costumes. Christensen dressed up as the character Buddy from Christmas Special Elf for the regatta near Portland, Oregon.
That's all for this week's episode of Political Pulse.
Join us next time and make sure to follow WEBN Political Pulse on Instagram and subscribe to WEBN Boston on YouTube.